Welcome to the Orange Flag Podcast. IndyCar was madness, and we finally saw the Ford. I'm Aries.
I'm Austin.
I'm Nicole. I want to start with the Suzuka 1,000 kilometers race that nobody is doing, apparently. The pro entry list is so underwhelming after like an absolute banger of a race, banger of an entry list last year. And it kind of comes down to like, why? And I think it's the issue that is plaguing everything. We are at that LMP1 GTE point where everything's too expensive. The development has outpaced the factory budgets. So obviously, Stefan Rotell has come out and said that GT3, which is like his baby, his little creation, that rule set, is on the GT1 or GTE trajectory. That's a problem because it was never intended to be a development war. It was supposed to be modified road-going cars. We've like talked about this before, but it's interesting now because brands are starting to agree with him. Thomas Laudenbach from Porsche came out and said that he agrees with Rotell on this. Porsche is obviously like the prototypical GT3 car, right? Like you slap a slightly different suspension and a slightly different wing on a 911 that you can just buy, and it's basically a race car. Especially now with the fact that the GT4 is also a 911, like Porsche just has that like intersection between race cars and road cars so cornered that like no other brand can even come close, truthfully. So like yeah, GT3 is like Porsche's wheelhouse, obviously. So it's not shocking that Laudenbach agreed with that, but
can we be bold and say that GT4 is the new GT3 and GT3 is the new GT1?
I don't think that is it. I agree that that's where it's headed. I don't think that Rotell, and I don't think that because Porsche is truly, like when you look at entry lists, the backbone of the GT3 class, it's really hard to, if the guy that is in charge of the GT3 class and the guy that is in charge of motorsport for the brand that makes up the backbone of the GT3 class both don't want GT3 to be the new GT1, then I think it's just going to get clawed back.
I would hope so.
But yes, if money was no object, I would totally agree. GT3 is on the GT1 trajectory. Every other team's doing it. Genesis has said they're going to do it. Toyota's kind of sort of doing it. They co-developed their road car and their race car at the same time. Like it's just interesting. What these brands are choosing to do. Yep. And, I mean, if you don't like Porsche, you don't like Porsche. I do like Porsche. But, like, they don't do homologation specials for their GT3 cars. Like, that is still a 911. Yes, it's a 911 with a bunch of stuff thrown into it, but it's still a 911. So much so that if you look at the past 15 years of 911s, like, they went from a true rear-engine car, the majority of the engine behind the rear axle, to now, like, a 911, even a road-going 911, is basically a mid-engine car because the engine is kind of centered over the rear axle, which is that scooting forward is to make it a more optimal race car. I mean, and Terry Zhao said it when we had him on.
Yeah.
Like, Porsche is forcing a failed concept to work. I keep on looking over here because our friend Ryan sent me a Grello card from the Nürburgring, which is really cool. So I just like keep on seeing the Grello while we're talking about Porsches.
Yeah, I have.
But yeah,
I have last year's Antares Mobile looking at me. It's like, yeah,
Nice.
diss me. Diss me all you want.
Literally, as you were saying all of that, all I could think in my head was, and Terry's made this point already.
Yeah.
Like, I do agree, like, budgets are sort of spiraling out of control, because what do you mean an Evo kit for the Corvette GT3 is what, $200,000? Like, that's just the Evo
it's
kit.
insane. Yep. Yeah, it's absolutely unreal. And then we were talking about, Porsche being the backbone of the GT3 field. That is completely shown with the Suzuka entry list. There are 28 entries. 10 of them are Porsche.
Traditions.
Hey, I'm okay with it, because it means I get Jam back in a Porsche. Once again, a bronze entry, so it's Jam as a bronze. Not really, but that's what I like saying. So
he is still a platinum rated driver. He is still driving as a pro in a car. It's like if he was in a car with Antares. Like,
yes, but it's just funny because the last time he did do the bronze entry, they accidentally classified him in like the thing as a bronze and put the wrong flag. So I'm like, oh, he's a bronze now. They did get at least all of that correct this time, though. So, but yeah, I feel like I'm gonna be watching the bronze class more than the pro class this race.
I don't know that I'm going to wake up for this race, quite frankly. Like, sorry, Lauren, but I'm seriously, like, I've seen you race so many times this year. I don't know that I'm gonna wake up to watch you race in Japan. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, I'll
have seen you like the week before and the week after or something.
I'm locked in a debate with myself over what do I sacrifice? Do I sacrifice my precious weekend sleep? Last year it didn't go all too well because I fell asleep like before the halfway point of the race, and I woke up, I think, close to the end or something, and I was very confused, so I just didn't bother. But yeah, I will see about it this year. One thing I did notice was we were on about the pro class being small. It's quite diverse, however, in terms of like manufacturers. It's almost like one apiece. Even Ford is there.
Yeah, which like is a pro class with whatever 5 or 6 different manufacturers all entering one or like maybe 2 cars. Is that like a better pro class, or is what we had last year, which was multiple entries but from fewer manufacturers, a better pro class? I think it's kind of personal preference, but something about this entry list was just underwhelming when I saw it, and that seemed to be the general consensus online too.
Yeah, I feel like the most exciting thing with the entry list besides Rexy was Scotty Mac being back in a Corvette.
Yeah.
And doing it again. Like, I feel like those were the 2 most exciting things about the pro class.
Yes.
Remains, I guess, you did mention Flags a while ago. Remains to be seen whether he will be, someone from the South Pacific or someone from North America. We'll see where his allegiances lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he did this race as an American last year, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would assume he would do that again.
Yes, probably. But you never know. You can't always trust entry lists, as we just went over, because sometimes they say your driver is going to race with the Andorran flag, and then he still races with the France flag. So
who knows?
Who knows?
What we know now, what we can finally say, is the Ford exists, because just today we actually saw it out on track at Paul Ricard, and the reactions to it were kind of mixed. Sort of predicted that it would be a mixed reaction, but hey, it's out and it exists, so that thing is out of the way.
One thing that seemed curious to me about the today thing is we were told this car was going to be on track first week of August. I don't think this car was on track first week of August, because all the pictures we got were very clearly like from the same photo shoots that all looked like today, like the lighting and everything. So I think that today was the rollout. I mean, I could be wrong, but it felt and looked like today was the rollout.
There's been articles that said like they have been doing like testing stuff, and that was kind of what was occurring the first week.
Yeah, they were running the engine and stuff.
And they were doing some other stuff, but the first true like test of it was what we're seeing from today.
Right, which is very different from what Ford's press release when they announced all of this said, which again, like, I don't know, there's some things that just still have me really worried for this program, and I want to see this program do well. I just am extremely, like, they don't have headlights yet. The car doesn't have headlights. How do you do an endurance test without headlights?
Well, you see,
good point.
They have a NASCAR, and they just really, really wanted to bring NASCAR back to WEC.
Yes.
So they forgot the headlights. Yeah. I think, see, that was the first thing you noticed with all the photos. The first thing I noticed with all the photos should not be a surprise to anyone, and it was that Matt was the one testing the car. Every photo was just a photo of Matt driving the car, and I was like, hey, that's Matt's helmet. So that was the first thing I noticed with all the photos, which should be no surprise to anyone. Second thing was like, oh, the car does sound good, because we got video too. And that was like a big speculation when we first heard the car, was a lot of people were like, this doesn't sound great. And I even said myself, I was like, wait until the rollout. Like, it's gonna sound better. I was on to something, because it definitely sounds better.
I want to know what it sounds like when it has the WEC mufflers on, though. I think that'll be a great sounding IMSA car. I want to know what it's going to sound like with the WEC mufflers on, because think about the difference in the Mustang, because I hear Mustang notes in it, right? And I assume it's testing unmuffled, because generally you test cars unmuffled. Think about the difference. Sorry, Aries, you can't. But the difference in the way that the Mustang sounds in IMSA versus in WEC. Two totally different sounding cars. So I do worry about what it's going to sound once it's muffled.
Well, I can...
But yes, it sounded good in the videos.
I'll be able to offer you guys that insight next year.
Yes. Yes, you will. You will see this car before us next year. Unless I go to Omaha or Silverstone.
I was going to say, unless I decide to add more WEC races, because that might happen.
If I win the lottery,
Silverstone just feels really expensive. So I don't know that I can justify cutting out like the entire IMSA season to go to Silverstone. Because it's going to be kind of probably comparable to cutting out Sebring and Petit. Would probably make Silverstone doable, and that just, I don't know, I don't think I want to do that. But my take on the Ford was, it feels, and I mean, you guys saw my meme, it feels like they copied everyone else's homework, it feels like they borrowed elements, and it feels like they went for a safe design. And I think that some of it's actually being smart, right? Why spend a ton of time going with this super adventurous design when this is a 2 to 3 year car? Go for the quick and lazy design, because you're going to have to completely rebuild this car from the ground up with different styling cues, probably a different tub in 2 years, maybe in 18 months. Like, they may need to start work, like true work, on the 2030 car, like as soon as 18 months from now. So it's probably a smart decision business-wise. I just don't like that there are only 2 hypercar GTP cars that genuinely look different. And that's the BMW and the Porsche. They're the only ones that have a completely different look to them. Because honestly, like, even the Valkyrie kind of looks like all of these Oricas. And like, the Oricas all look like the Ferrari.
I do think a lot of it is one. You just said it. we've got a lot of orcas. So, like, naturally, they're gonna kind of all look similar. And 2, we are changing regs soon. And so a lot of new teams, I feel like, are going to more so be modeling for that car and for the car.
See, I don't think it has anything to do with that, because we don't know what any of the required design elements or even the tub requirements are. I think they're going with what's easiest. Hey, we know that Genesis has a functioning car. Let's just rebuild the Genesis and put a different hood on.
Yeah, I mean, like, they're already thinking ahead in the sense of, like, let's do what's easy now, so that we can start preparing once we know, like, what we need to start doing for the next regs.
Right.
So we can start doing that. Like, they're thinking ahead to that and doing what's quick and easier now. And also, at the end of the day, you've got Orca connections. You're all going to kind of look similar.
Yes. We are in the design convergence part of the regulations, I feel like.
Yeah.
It always happens towards the end of a rule set, so...
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
One thing with the fact that the car didn't have headlights is, I was looking at them or at where the headlights could go, and it looks like you might be able to fit OG GT40 lights on that. So, like, we're gonna use my 963 as an example if I can get it out of this box. So, like, the 963 has, like, a pretty serious, like, I guess, like, plateau in front of where the wheel arches are. The Ford doesn't. It goes straight down. Like, absolutely straight down there. So, this area kind of in between where it says Penske and where the red is on the Ford is just like a nice continuous slope, which it's not. If you're not watching on YouTube, watch on YouTube, because I'm like using a model here to make my point. But that nice continuous slope, in my opinion, gives... I like how it's just like manhandling a signed case. But it gives a nice location that you could put big, bold headlights. And if you take the original GT40 headlight shape and slap that on there, all of a sudden this anonymous, feels like it copied everyone's homework hypercar becomes a Ford. And I think that's what Ford needs to do.
Yeah, I hope so.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I hope so.
I want them to do it.
There we had it, everybody. Car design lessons with the Orange Flag podcast.
Yes. Featuring a Porsche 963.
Because what else, right?
I'm just happy I didn't have to be the teacher for the teacher segment for once.
Well, I happen to, very nicely have a 963 hanging out, because it's in my remember to bring this to the WEC race with me because I need to get it signed by Andre pile. Well, I do. It's the I put it in backwards. It's the championship car. It's the 2024 Porsche. So I got, obviously, having seen Kevin and Larry a million billion times this year, I'm like running out of things for them to sign. So I'm like, I will get them to sign this so I can get Andre to sign it at COTA. Because, yes, completely running out of things for people to sign at this point.
You know what? I'm actually shocked it took us until this point for someone to get mentioned in this episode.
Yeah, it barely got mentioned.
Barely. I know. That's...
My really cool piece of art that, again, if you follow me on Instagram, that I commissioned is not here yet. And no, that's a lie. I mentioned him when I mentioned the Grello. His name's right there.
Yeah, but his name wasn't spoken.
Yeah, but it's right there.
Yeah, but it wasn't spoken.
And it's even spelled right.
It wasn't spoken, though.
It's not spelled right on this card.
I don't know.
This is the
I'd say
Porsche
that's spelled
card
correctly.
that Jade said. Kevin says it's not spelled that way. as we know. That's like, Kevin, why is your Porsche card not spelled correctly? What about this Le Mans card? On there? Yes, it's spelled correctly on here. So, like, why is it spelled correctly on here? Yes, I have people that just send me random Kevin cards, which is awesome.
What else? Because what else?
Stickers. It's great. I mean, I think that everyone should set up a exchange with people from other places. You have a present, Oz, that came as part of this exchange. Let's see, it says Austin on it. I don't know what's in it. I haven't opened it. Do we want to do an unboxing?
Sure, let's do an unboxing.
I'm sure this is exactly what Jade wanted us to do, is unbox your card live on the podcast. But why not? Okay. Let's see. Okay,
I like how you're seeing it first.
Yeah, these are ridiculous.
Now I'm even more scared.
Oh.
Yes.
That's a relic.
Yes, that's the best. Okay. These are good. Yes.
A bracelet that says Maddie on it. If I could
I like how
it,
everyone just gives me Matt bracelets that say his name on it.
I
now have a collection of them.
It's a very nice shade
hold
of blue.
Hold on, there's more things.
Another Matt. Hey, Grello. What kind of Grello? Closest looking Matt of Grello. All the Mats.
You got a note.
Yeah, we'll read that when I'm in Texas.
A sticker.
Hey! Add that to the petite stickers. I actually don't know where those are.
Like how we just did a live unboxing of Jade's wonderful letter.
Yes, well, thank you, Jade.
That was super drinking game. Like Matt Campbell drinking game this time, but drinking game.
Hey, yes, Aries,
Cheers.
take a drink. Cheers. We needed Matt Campbell drinking game. We just finished the Ford segment. It feels right.
My dad said that the drinking game should just be anytime we bring up one of the drivers we like out of context. So
there we go.
There we go. Dad, look, we rewrote the drinking
your
game
dad.
for you. Yes.
Hey, I mean, hydration, right?
Yeah, it's important.
I would have taken a sip because I'm definitely dehydrated. Sorry, Ari, but I lost my water.
My juice is over at the eating table as opposed to the podcast table, so yeah. Big sports car / IndyCar news that we all knew was coming, but got formally announced and is tragically unfortunate, is the Arlington IndyCar race and the Sebring 12-hour have a schedule clash. For, some drivers, that's not... I think there's three main drivers that people kind of view as affected by this, right? And then two of them aren't even really affected by it, so it's really just Kyle Kirkwood getting screwed.
I was about to say, it's mainly Kyle.
There's no... not saying he couldn't still do Daytona and Petit, but he's not going to be the 3 long races driver for Vassar Sullivan next year, which is unfortunate. It's just, guys, can't we figure out a way to not have all of our races on the same weekend, please?
I agree.
It's also just even more sad because it's the closest Kyle gets to a home race.
Yeah. And then Scott Dixon was probably not going to be doing anything next year anyways, because he's probably going to be focusing on being the best McLaren IndyCar driver he can be and not trying to focus on a sports car program, if I had to guess.
Maybe.
And then Alex Palou is just without a team because MSR is gone and he's a Honda driver, and they're the Honda team. I think Scott and Alex could obviously find like an LMP2 for Daytona. They might find an LMP2 for Daytona. I just don't know that I think that like Scott would feel the need to, like, he's won Daytona overall. Does he really need to go out and like try and win it in LMP2? Like,
I was gonna say,
I could see Alex wanting to.
I was gonna say though, for Scott, it's a little bit easier in the sense that you've got United.
Right. Oh no, I think if he wants a United seat, it's like right there for him, I would say. But I just don't know that it matters as much as trying to go for another overall. I think that once McLaren, comes to GTP, I think he'll be in that car for sure.
Maybe, yeah.
Why wouldn't you want him in that car? He's Scott Dixon. Like, he's one of the greatest drivers on the planet.
That, and in their whole announcement of signing him for Arrow McLaren, they just kept talking about him in sports cars. So, like...
Yeah, right? It's like, we are signing 6-time IndyCar, but he's won Daytona, and he's great at sports cars, and like he's raced at Le Mans. Like,
they were like, screw these IndyCar stats. Show all the sports car stats. What do you mean we're signing him for IndyCar?
Yeah, it was like a big hint. It was like, yes, he's done this, but then he's also done that. And where are we branching
it was
off
like
to? Exactly that.
Yeah. It was the largest, like, wink possible.
Yeah, I think if anybody doesn't think that the fact that McLaren is launching a top-level sports car program didn't play a part in Scott Dixon's decision, you're crazy. Because, like, Chip has made it clear he's not trying to get back into sports cars anytime soon. Obviously, Honda, Acura have completely pulled out of sports cars for the time being. Scott is closer to the end of his open wheel career than he is to the beginning, and you obviously have a lot more longevity in sports. I mean, like, look at Seb Bourdais. Like, how long after he stopped with IndyCar he's been doing sports cars, rather successfully. So, interesting.
Very well. And then for a quick, we went for a quick trip north of the border this weekend. We went to Canada for the inaugural Markham race, and
none of us actually went there, by the way.
I was about to say, exactly. I wish I actually went, it was as the Canadian. But,
virtual. We virtually went.
We sadly didn't go anywhere. But, well, the one thing that was drawing all the attention was, we always hear that never draw attention for the wrong reasons, but that's exactly what was happening by the end of the week, around Thursday, Friday, about the track was basically not ready, and it was getting all sorts of negative attention. So it did feel like, given the event promoter has experience with organizing other racing events like Portland just a week before, and obviously they were responsible for the Toronto race, which was what we had up until last year. It was sort of a surprise. So everybody was like, who to blame regarding this? Like the promoters, the city, for maybe holding something back? Like, who knows?
The promoters also do Mid-Ohio and St. Pete.
Yeah.
So, like, they know how to throw an IndyCar race. That's what's so strange about all of this.
Baffling.
Yeah, and then IndyCar put out, like, a statement, and IndyCar basically put full blame on the organizers, but then there was also, like, news that came out that, like, part of the track wasn't turned over until, like, just before the weekend because it was a GO train station, which, if you don't know what that is, it's the public transit in Canada. So it was still actively being used as public transit until, like, very close to the weekend. And so that got turned over so late that they were like rushing to get the track prepared. So like you could say part of it is on that fact that they got the track turned over to them so late.
That still feels like it's on the event organizer, event promoter. Because like I asked that, I'm like, who is in charge of making sure that parking lots are cleared? Who is in charge of making sure that the tire bundles show up? And the response that I got overwhelmingly was, that is the promoter's job. That is not, like, that's not Penske Entertainment's job. That is the local promoter's job to make sure all of that happens.
But it also feels like that's kind of part of, like, the city, too.
Oh, yeah. Right, but who's supposed to work with the city? That's the event promoter. So, like, it all really does fall back down to, did the event promoter not tell the city of Markham, we need this parking lot before the 12th? Like, why was the parking lot not turned over before that? If you look at DC, like, everything's already set up, and that race isn't until the weekend. It's Monday. And, like, they're posting pictures of everything already being set up.
Yeah, as somebody who lived in the St. Pete area, St. Pete's, like, prepared, like, well in advance.
Almost a month in advance, a lot of the stuff's up, because they post about it online. Same thing with, like, I live right down the street from Arlington, and they were posting about that stuff being set up, like, you know, between, like, a month and 3 weeks, 2 weeks in advance. Like, there was no, okay, we're putting the very last stuff in place, like, the day of. So that was kind of an issue.
Yeah. Arlington. I do think part of it also is, like...
I was gonna say Arlington, the same Arlington who was, you know, just very, very softly dissing the Markham race organization online.
Yeah.
It wasn't even just Arlington, because then the DC race also got involved too.
Got in on it.
Because their barriers are curved, unlike the barriers in Markham.
Kyle Kirkwood was very upset about non-radial barriers and how if you hit them, they're jagged edges. So yeah, DC took that full advantage. Hey, Kyle Kirkwood, look at our radial barriers. Look, they're curved. Like, brilliant marketing from whoever came up with that idea. Like, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. So it wasn't just Arlington taking the piss out of Markham. It was a collective effort by street circuits. But yeah. It also just, a lot of this is like a new track and figuring stuff out.
No, for sure.
I feel like it's really going to be kind of a, how does next year go?
Exactly.
Which, like, was even a big discussion with Nashville, for example, because Nashville last year,
Nashville
terrible
mess the first year they had the street circuit too. Like,
so
it was
and then
potentially one of the worst modern street circuits they've done.
Yeah, and then this year for Nashville, though, was a little bit better. They still had some issues, but not as bad as last year. And not as bad as, like, the street circuit and everything. So, like, it's really just, it's how will next year go, and if they're able to not have quite severe of issues, I'd say that's definitely an improvement. It's growing pains, you know?
Yeah, if they can run on Friday next year, it will be a resounding success. And
I dare say they will be able to.
Honestly, I don't know that in 2 weeks' time, anyone's even going to be talking about what happened on Friday. So on Friday, I played really hard into the internet's recency bias and said, what's the bigger embarrassment to its sport? The 2026 Markham IndyCar race or the 2005 Formula One US Grand Prix? If you're unfamiliar with what happened in 2005, there were two tire manufacturers at the time. Bridgestone, which is associated with Firestone, which runs IndyCar tires, knew exactly like what specifications they needed for their tires to run on the banking, which it's not like they hadn't been running on the banking since the year 2000, but like there were some tire changes. So, and there was actually some regrading of the track that was done. The track was slightly more abrasive that year. And Michelin, which didn't run in any series that were running at IMS at the time, were unaware of this and brought a tire that was not durable enough. And ultimately what happened was the 14, I think it was, cars running Michelin tires did the formation lap, and at the end of the formation lap pulled off into pit lane, and only the 6 cars running Bridgestone tires started the race. I was at that race. I don't know that anything is ever going to reach that level of embarrassment. Like the Formula E race at Homestead, Miami was better than that. So
and that's saying something.
And 22% of people in my poll on Friday said that Markham was worse than that. And honestly, because of when I did it, it carried over a little bit into Saturday, and people started realizing, oh, this track's kind of cool. It went from like 60-40 down to, with only 22% saying Markham was worse. But it was 40% of people that were doing that poll were saying Markham was worse than 2005 US Grand Prix, which is absolutely insane. But compare that to the post-race polls that 2 accounts that always do a post-race poll, Champ Web and then Hickey, did their post-race polls. Hickey's poll got 520 votes. He does a chili pepper scale, not associated with Chili's or Kevin Estra or us. But he goes like 4 chilies is, or 4 peppers is the like greatest race ever, and 1 is like worst race ever. 74% gave it 4 peppers. 20% gave it 3 peppers. A grand total combined 6% gave it 2 or 1 pepper. And then Champ Web's poll had 1,027 votes, and they do great, good, meh, and sucked. 67% of people said the race was great. 28% people said the race was good. And a grand total combined 5% of people said meh or sucked. The lowest category in both of those only got 1%.
Yes.
So nobody's gonna care about what happened Friday because that was a banger of a race.
Oh, yeah.
Actual strategy, actual on-track passes of Alex Palou.
Chaos, lots of chaos. We like chaos.
Lots of chaos. And it just, that was a really good race. And I think that the growing pains of the new track are way overshadowed by how good the race was.
Yeah. I feel like afterwards, the only comments I saw was like, great race. If there was one thing that needs to be worked on, the hairpin.
Yeah.
And like, that's it. Which, like, valid.
The hairpin's, I don't know, the hairpin's kind of cool the way it is. Like,
it is, but there were so many times where it was like, ah.
But like, I think that's on the drivers. And I think if the drivers want to be stupid aggressive, that's on them.
Yeah. But I see the argument for the people that are like, hairpin. Maybe we need
I just don't want them to turn it into Macau.
No.
Which, like, it's a flat hairpin. It's not a, hairpin that has an elevation change like Monaco or Macau where you can't pass because you're not only making that tight turn, but you're making that tight turn and going downhill. So, I just don't want it to turn into a hairpin where you can't overtake, because obviously the hairpin, the way it's set up right now, is chaos. But man, you can send it in there and make an overtake work.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't at the race, but I still sort of helped somebody have a really cool personal experience at the race. So, I didn't even know this person. Anna, the guinea pig girl, you may have seen her. That's literally what her Twitter display
I know
name
it
says
is, but
now.
just anytime someone says it, it just makes me laugh.
She became a fan of Kiffin because of that picture of him holding the guinea pig. She knew like nothing about him, nothing about IndyCar. And Dana brought her to my attention because she was going to Markham. She's Canadian, but she was going to Markham just to see Kiffin. Which is like so cool. But she missed the autograph session because she got all turned around, and like, you need to be so early in the line at an IndyCar autograph session to make it through the line sometimes. So she didn't get up there to meet Kiffin and get an autograph card. And she tweeted about that, and I tweeted back. I was like, well, I don't have an extra this year's card, but like, I got you for the past 2 years cards, so I'm gonna send these tomorrow to her. And then like, Dana and I were talking about it, and we were like, let's amplify this tweet. Let's try to get it so that like, because Kiffin follows both me and Dana. Like, maybe Kiffin will see this and like something. And then I'm like, you know what? Let me just try messaging CGR on Instagram. Let me see, like, long shot if that works. And it did. They were like, it'd probably be a good idea if she was back over by the garage. And they came out and they gave her a current 2026 signed Kiffin card. So she's going to have a full set once I send her these ones, which is awesome. And it's just like, after that happened, I called my dad up and I was like, this is just unreal. Like, we obviously have gone to a ton of Formula One races. And Formula One, the access isn't like this. You're not going to be messaging Mercedes AMG F1 team to be like, hey, I wasn't able to meet George Russell, can I get an autograph card? Like, they're not even gonna look at that. Like, Chip Ganassi Racing is that team, right? They are one of the biggest teams in the sport. Yes, I would say Kiffin is like the smaller of the three drivers there currently, but still, like, the fact that Ganassi were like, yes, we are aware of this. We need to get Kiffin to sign a card. We are going to hook her up. Like, it's just amazing. And it's just something that really doesn't exist in every series. And honestly, like, I don't know that exists in most series. Like, I would say, yeah, probably in IMSA. I'm not really sure about NASCAR. WEC, hit or miss, but like, it really just goes to show how fan friendly IndyCar is. And it's just a really cool story. And then she was also able to meet Kiffin in person Saturday evening, and got him to sign her guinea pig shirt. It was like, I'm just here to see the guinea pig guy or something. So yeah, that was really, really cool. And I was just so happy for her. Like, someone that I had never met, I was like hyping up all weekend, like, oh yeah, you gotta meet Kiffin, and she was like, he was so polite, he's so kind, and I'm like, yeah, that is who Kiffin is. He's just a polite young gentleman. Like, that is who Kiffin Simpson is.
Yeah. And now let's go into, I think this is probably the silliest thing to come of racing this weekend. And it's, so if you don't know, Joey Logano won the NASCAR race, okay? Joey Logano went to victory lane and somehow his tires melted onto the surface of victory lane, to where they had to take the tires off the car to be able to move it because it was that stuck. I can't remember the last time that's happened before. So that was funny.
Yeah, they had like the rubbery plastic like tiles that you would put down like in a garage.
Yeah.
As the floor, if you want to call it that, for victory lane, and you come right off a track and your tires are going to be hot.
Yeah. And like so Penske, I think it was, posted a video of it, and like it's their guys taking the tires off and they're just peeling off the floor from the tires because like they could at least still separate it. And I'm like, oh my god, like who thought of this? Like, who thought of putting this down in victory lane? It definitely wasn't the best idea. We went from victory lane like last race before this one, putting way too much confetti.
That was hilarious. I kind of just want that race to win diecast just because it's going to be so covered in confetti.
Oh yeah, I feel so bad for the diecast makers for that one because it's not even car.
It's gonna be so funny.
It is just confetti. And then to this one where it's just, now the car is getting stuck to victory lane. Like, what is happening? What's gonna be next race in victory lane? What's gonna happen now? Like, it just feels like we're going down a rabbit hole of insane things that can happen in victory lane. And then the other big news is that it's kind of been speculated that Connor Zilisch was gonna end up at Hendrick. I really wanted it to happen for obvious reasons of that's my driver and my team. It was announced today that Connor Zilisch will be going to Hendrick, not next year, but for 2028. He will be going into the 48 once Alex Bowman retires. So no, the 88 is not leaving Trackhouse. From the sound of everything from Trackhouse's side of the announcement, they are still going to be running the 88 in 2028 and are going to be using like a young driver for that entry. And Connor will be going to the 48 and it will still be out.
I didn't read all of what Justin Marks said. I know he said he's going to be still running a third car for a young driver. Did he specifically say it was going to be the 88? Like, that number, or just a third car? Because, like, I don't think that the 88 is going to Hendrick. But
no.
I do wonder if some point that number might... I think Dale Jr. wants a cup team at some point.
He's been kind of hinting at it in the sense he's been doing Daytona.
Right. So I think he kind of might want a cup team.
But I will say this. I just pulled up the announcement. This is what Justin Marks says.
Yeah.
At Trackhouse, our mandate remains to work hard, accomplish big things with Connor while we have him, and position this 88 Chevy team to move into the 2028 NASCAR Cup season ready for a new, inspiring, and talented driver that will author the next chapter in this amazing book we are writing, but not yet. So they did specifically say the 88.
Interesting. And then it should be done now, but I did about who people think are going to be in that car. I can't find my poll. This is the problem. I tweet too much, so like my things that are important that I specifically tweet for the show, so it's not done yet. It's still going to be going till tomorrow. But it was like, who goes into the 88 for 2028? And I put 3 options. Roger Cruth, Corey Day, and a mystery third option. The mystery third option is winning by a lot in this poll. It has 48% right now. Day has 37%, and Carruth has 15%. I think that Corey Day will be full-time in Cup sooner rather than later. I think it all depends on when Kyle Larson wants to retire.
I truly think, at least from the way things seem, it feels like Kyle Larson's retirement is giving the vibe of it's coming sooner rather than
Kyle's
later.
Younger than I am, though, and he's always talked about 40 as like either a cutoff or a milestone, and he's younger than me, and I'm still a reasonable bit away from 40. So like, if he stays in the 5 until he's 40, it's almost like it's going to be too late for Corey. Corey's going to have to be somewhere else.
I wouldn't be surprised if he retires soon, just with like the way it feels like he's been talking about things. It almost feels like he's like changing his perspective at times now, especially with his kids racing so much more now. It feels like he's kind of wanting to almost focus on that side of things a little bit more.
Which makes sense.
What it seems like. But for me, I truly think Corey is sooner rather than later, and is just gonna go to Hendrick. Like, Hendrick literally made the 17 their O'Reilly and Xfinity, because he raced it then too, part-time, but they made their 17 O'Reilly series entry full-time for Corey. It just really feels like Hendrick isn't gonna let him go somewhere else. Like,
right, but is he gonna do O'Reilly and a part-time Cup schedule for 3 more years? That's the problem. Like, where does he go? Like, if he does next year part-time, like, he needs to be in a full-time Cup seat for 2028. And I don't think that's going to be Hendrick. I think it could be Trackhouse.
Yes. And I know a lot of people are Raja fans. I like Raja. But if you look at, like, where Raja's at in his career, he doesn't even have, like, a full-time O'Reilly seat right now. He's having to bounce back and forth from teams. It's just, he really is at a different spot in his career where he kind of first needs to figure out a full-time O'Reilly seat.
Right, like, Corey Day and Connor Zilisch have the potential to be, like, the guys of this generation, right? You know, like,
definitely
the guys that are fighting for championships, that, you know, are consistently winning races. And I just don't know that Raja is there. He is very good. I think he will be in Cup. I just don't think it's going to be right now, and I don't know that it's ever going to be with Hendrick.
Yeah, again, going back to it, Hendrick chose to make the 17 full-time in O'Reilly series for Corey Day.
Not for Raja.
They could have made it full-time for Raja, and they didn't.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that Kyle fully backing Corey, fully mentoring Corey helps a lot. Whereas Raja's kind of figuring that out on his own. So I do think Corey has that leg up there with, like, a foot in the door already kind of with him.
Yeah. I think for me it's more Raja, if you look at timeline-wise, has the affiliation longer. And you would think that would at least be semi in his favor if he's been affiliated for a longer amount of time.
Yeah, but, like, an affiliation or, like, it's almost more of a sponsorship, right? Like, they're letting him run Hendrick cars, on his trucks, as opposed to what Kyle Larson is doing with Corey. Yeah. I just think it's very different dynamics there.
I also think another, at least for me, way I look at it too, is like, for example, SVG, Kyle Busch. While they weren't Hendrick drivers, were driving trucks that said Hendrick on them.
Mm-hmm.
So like, Raja was also driving a truck that said Hendrick on it, and like sometimes drives an O'Reilly car that says Hendrick on it, but also sometimes drives a O'Reilly car that doesn't say Hendrick on it.
Yep.
So like,
he does not have a full-time Hendrick association, which it's kind of telling. And then Formula E had its season finale London doubleheader race. Go Porsche. Yay. Pascal Wehrlein became the second person to be a 2-time Formula E champion after Jean-Eric Vergne. Go to my Instagram and look at my pictures of all of us being youths, because we're all like approximately the same age, me, Jev, and Pascal, like within a couple of years of each other. Look at us all being young people. It's fun. It was when they were in Formula One. It was like, I messaged Jody, our friend who's Formula E journalist, and I was like, if Pascal wins, he's the only other one than Jev that will have done 2 titles, right? And she's like, yes. And I'm like, okay, cool. Because like, I had this idea for this post ready to go. So yeah, that was cool. It was a little controversial because like everybody decided to crash into each other, including Pascal, but like whatever. Go Porsche.
Yeah. Yes.
Theme of the weekend, chaos.
I was gonna say, it wasn't a race without some chaos, especially between like
both of
former
them.
Teammates.
Yeah.
Of Dak and Pascal, who were just, the radio messages were very entertaining.
They were.
But yeah, they both got penalties after the race. There was a lot of after race penalties. It was a whole chaoticness, but also exciting because, Taylor Barnard became the youngest winner in FE and also gave his team a win in their very last race. Because DS Penske is leaving.
Not only got his first win, but got it at a home race because he's British. So like that's extra cool for him. But yeah, so now Formula E is over until like December, so we're not going to be talking about that. But there's a new car and potentially like a new Porsche team, but also maybe not. I don't know. So we may have off-season FE topics to cover. Nico Muller and Pascal Wehrlein are both being rumored to potentially be in IMSA as an endurance driver next year. So like, who knows? Changuven is being rumored to be in Formula E next year. So like, who knows? Lots of fun Porsche off-season stuff for us to talk about eventually.
Yeah. It's a whole lot of chaos over there.
Well, it's typical Formula E, but yeah, this was I guess we can say the end. This was all very, very fitting in a way. Taylor Barnard takes his first victory in his team's final race in this generation of cars' final race in the final time they race at that track in London, because the new car is faster. So it was a new.
They're going on to proper circuits.
Yeah. Yes. So it was. I don't know. They closed not just the chapter, I feel, but the whole book. So a new era of Formula E on the horizon. It's going to be electric, some say.
It would be concerning if it wasn't.
Ask Jody. I don't know.
Ask Jody. Yes.
# ask Jody. on that electric bombshell, thank you for listening. You can find us on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at Orange Flag Pod. Nicole is at Nicole and Racing. Austin is at Austin Trackside. And Aries is at Aries_Alpenglow. Stay orange and plugged in.